Hello and welcome to the Around the Ballpark podcast for your February 15th, 2026 episode number 146. Thank you for making us a part of your Sunday night each and every week, unless it's Easter or another holiday, then we're not live, or the Super Bowl. Otherwise, we're normally here. So thank you. As you know, we just hit over 4,000 subscribers, and as we mentioned, this is just a hobby for us, and to be able to have those numbers is incredible. So very grateful. New subscribers each and every week. So thank you, everyone. And tonight we have a special fun podcast planned. Guest of honor is Ted Sunday. We're going to get to know him in just a few minutes. You're probably like, who is this guy? Where is he from? We'll tell you all about it. Darren, as always, it's a pleasure. But before we do anything, we always have to give a shout out to our proud sponsors over at National Tax Solutions. They believed in us from under 100 subscribers, partnered with us, and here we are, almost at the 2-year mark. In about another week or so, we'll be at the 2-year mark. So, Darren, mind sharing.
Ted, I'm sure you realize this, unless you don't, that if you're dealing with tax issues, if you're behind on filings, or you get hit with a lien, it happens. But let me tell you about Nashville Tax Solutions. The people at Nashville Tax Solutions know their stuff, and they actually care about you and helping you solve that problem. I've heard from people from all over the place who said Chris Bennett and his team turned what looked like a financial nightmare into peace of mind. That's the kind of help you want to have when you're on your side, when you're having issues like that. So if tax stress is keeping you up at night, not healthy for you mentally, physically, for your family, or anything, here's what you can do. Call 855-627-4829. Visit NashvilleTaxSolutions.com or email info@NashvilleTaxSolutions.com. Nashville Tax Solutions, real people who give you real relief.
Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Christopher Bennett and team. And just really excited to continue this partnership. Like I said, just about a week shy now of the 2-year mark. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I see a lot of you jumping in the chat. On Deck for Christ. You always are not afraid to say hello, so thank you for jumping in as well. So if you're here, please let us know. I know a lot of you guys kind of put us on and then do other things. That's fine, too. But tonight, as we mentioned, our guest of honor is Ted Sunday. So, Ted, if you wouldn't mind, just a quick introduction of who you are, where you're from, and we'll get to know you in a little bit in just a few minutes. But just wanted to have you introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mike. Thank you for having me on tonight. It's a pleasure. So a little bit about myself. I'm a Bavard native. I'm about to be 25 next month. I graduated from Rockledge High, graduated from Eastern Florida State College, and now I'm a security officer there on the Cocoa campus. So I enjoy doing that. Very fun thing. I also, while I'm on here, is I umpire baseball. So I umpire baseball and softball. I do all the way from Little League Baseball all the way up to college baseball. So it's a very fun experience, and I'm looking forward to talking more about it.
That's awesome. And so we already have our first talking point. Before we even get into that, we learn something new every day. So you mentioned you're security officer at the Cocoa campus. So my son actually he is doing graphic design and that kind of thing. So he has to take 2 classes in Cocoa on Mondays and Wednesdays. So it's a little nerve-wracking at first because he's just starting out in the driving thing and he hasn't really done more than like the local roads. So twice a week, yes, he takes US 1. He's not quite ready for 95 yet, but takes US 1 to the campus. So it's a bit of a drive, but unfortunately they don't offer those classes here locally. So he really likes it. I think he's excited to take classes in his actual career rather than just the basic stuff that we have to take. So he really enjoys it there. So that's cool. I didn't even know that so that's a full Monday through Friday, or?
The lucky part for us at Eastern Florida is we're only open Monday through Thursday. So it's I work day shifts. I work 7 to 3 Monday through Thursday. So I actually get the weekends off, which is a positive thing because I get to umpire on Fridays and Saturdays.
Love that.
So I get to have a little variety in my life, not just working a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday job.
No, that's awesome. So you pretty much got your Sunday, hopefully is your rest day, hopefully more of your rest day. We have a good amount of viewers on, so thank you guys so much. This is the most listeners we've had in a couple of weeks, so I appreciate you. So I will go ahead and ask the first question. We'll start with the you mentioned the umpiring, so let's go there first. So you mentioned you are just hit the 5-year mark now as an umpire for high school. So kind of like talk a little bit about how that got started, how you knew this was something you were into. I know it's a very selfless job, right? Like I make it a point, not everybody's like that. But I make it a point to thank each and every umpire at the end of every game for being out there doing what they do, even if they feel like they're not on the right planet that evening. I still go over and make sure that we say thank you for their that kind of thing. But how did you know you wanted to do this more than just like to actually go through with it and take all the classes and all that kind of stuff? What really started that for you?
Yeah, so my whole life I played baseball. I played all the way since I was in T-ball, all the way through high school baseball. And then it got to a certain point where I learned, I'm not good enough for this sport. So I wasn't able to play very well. So I actually, unfortunately, got cut from a high school baseball team when I was a junior. So I was thinking, I was like, I really want to continue to play. I still want to stay in the game of baseball. So I was like, what can I do? I talked to some of the local little leagues and they needed umpires. So I'm like, that sounds like a fun idea. So I reached out to Rockledge Little League. That's where I played at throughout my entire childhood. And I got reached out to a guy named John Crosser. He actually runs a company called Space Coast Umpires now. He helped me get started. He gave me a one-on-one training session, and I started at the Little League level. So I did Little League for about 3 to 4 years. To start off, I jumped into the travel ball realm, like AAU, rec baseball, like the travel stuff. I traveled all the way around the state. I've been to Jacksonville for travel ball. I've been all the way down to Fort Myers. I've been to Tampa. I've gone all over the place. My furthest I've actually gone for travel baseball is up in the Panhandle. I went to Panama City actually a couple years ago. So I get to travel a little bit for that. But I did that for a few years, and then I finally was like, I think I'm ready for high school baseball. I had many mentors tell me that it was time. So I jumped in, obviously going on my 6th year. Great people in the association. For high school baseball, I work for the Mid-Coast Umpire Association called MCOA. It's led by a guy named Dan Lawrence. He's my commissioner. He also helped me in Little League. And a couple other mentors I have. A guy named Larry Torch. He's a famous guy in Brevard County. He's in the Hall of Fame. You've definitely, if you've heard anything to do with sports, Larry Torch, he's the guy. So he's helped me out with any gear. He's actually, he is a retailer for umpire equipment. He has his own business. So anybody that wants to start umpiring, give him a call. Look up his stuff. So
we actually have our first question in the chat. I'll read that one out loud, and then it says, "Is Teddy considered an elite official?"
That's funny. That's probably one of my boys on here, but I would say for the high school level, the last couple years, I've had the honor to work region finals. So that's like, if you think about college basketball, it's like the Elite Eight for the national championship. So I got to work. It's the second highest level of high school baseball. So I've been able to have the privilege to be able to do that, thanks to John Crosser, Tim Abel, and Dan Lawrence, to be able to help me move along and move up in the ranks. So I'm hoping either the next year or two, I will be at the state championships actually down in Fort Myers. That's my goal right now for high school baseball. I'm also in my 3rd season of college baseball too, actually. So it's my 3rd year. So far, I got 8 games scheduled for me to do. I'll be down at Indian River State College. I got a couple games up at Daytona State College and a couple games up in Jacksonville. So I got a pretty full plate with the umpiring. I've been very blessed because I feel like all the people I've been around, they've helped me from the beginning, and I made it to a point where now I work with John Crosser for his Space Coast Umpires. And I'm one of his instructors, so I'm on his staff. We're always looking for new umpires. And one of my passions is to get new guys in, to help the new guys. So like even at the beginning of this high school season, I've been going around to the different games and evaluating newer umpires that have been doing this about 1 to 3 years. just to help them get better. I take videos of them, I give them tips and give them some just critiquing because
Mhm.
I'm always for making our craft better.
That's awesome. I'll share a quick story and then related to that, and then Darren, I'll have you want to go ahead and ask here. So we all have many gifts, and umpiring is not one of them. I learned that at a young age. I remember I was umpiring for Palm Bay Youth softball for just a little bit, and I remember making a call that I thought was right, and then I saw the manager come running out on the field to basically argue with me. Then I saw the other coach coming, and they're both arguing that I made the wrong call. The one that I made the call for is also yelling at me, like, "How could you miss that call?" I was like, okay, I think that's my sign. If both coaches are yelling at me for the same thing, even though my call was in favor of one of them. So I was like, all right, maybe in the future. Wasn't my thing. But go ahead, Darren. Your first question.
Well, there's a couple things I want to unpack because it is a process, and people don't seem to realize that. They think, oh, you're a fan, and thus you can umpire, and that's not the case. It's very cerebral. People probably tired of me saying this already. I played collegiate football. I coached collegiate football. I coached Division I softball. I was the head coach of a high school softball team. What you guys do, people do, you men and women who are umpires, is not easy. And like anybody in life, you have good days and you have bad days, and you have to know the minutia, right? You have to know what happens when this happens, and rules change. And there's a difference between high school rules and college rules and potentially pro rules, and on and on and on. And different teams and different fields have different rules. There's always little things that are going on. Let people give people a taste of. I know it's not the whole. You're not retarding roofs. But people don't realize how tough it is, what you have to do. And then get in the car, go home, next day, 2 other games, angry people. And sometimes you have the parents who are terrible to umpires.
Yeah, and there's a question from one of our loyal listeners, Soup Bead, and he says, how do you handle hecklers?
Well, honestly, when it comes to the fans... Go ahead.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
I see what you did there.
No, I'd rather you lie to me. Go ahead. No, it's okay.
Honestly, when I first got started, it really rattled me for the spectators. Yeah. And you hear a lot of the fans, they want to say something to you. They're like, "Oh, Blue, that's terrible. Oh, get your eyes checked." We've all heard the sayings they do. But I think it gets to a point where I think for me, you tune it out really. You just lock in and you umpire, because 50% of the time you're going to be wrong to somebody. So as you said, or if you're like Mike, 100% of the time both teams were mad at you.
Right.
But
always that doesn't usually happen. But he's an overachiever.
Yeah. No, but I think it's just more of being able to, I think, handle the coaches mainly is what I've been working on in the couple years, because, coaches will come out and they'll argue different calls, or they'll argue balls and strikes and all that type of stuff. And I've learned over the last couple of years of like discernment, and that's not the right word. I am talking about diffusing a situation. There we go. Yeah. Diffusing the situation. Because I've had multiple times, a lot in travel ball mostly, because you have a lot of fans and parents and coaches that don't really know the rules as much, and they'll have a call that I'll make, and then you got this random dad coming out the dugout, and he's yelling and screaming, and I'll just be like, hey, Skip, hey, this is what I got here, coach, this is what I got. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're not going to come out of the dugout screaming, we're going to talk men to men here. You're not going to make a fool out of yourself. We're going to talk normally. If you're not going to talk normally, I'll send you to the parking lot.
Right.
Most of the time, that shuts them down, and they'll be able to calm down, and we just have a man-to-man conversation. Half the time, they still don't like it, and they just storm back to the dugout. Or sometimes, unfortunately, they eject themselves, and they're sitting in the parking lot while the game's going on.
You mentioned the word discernment, and you changed, but, I was leaning into discernment because you just kind of stumbled upon it. you have to show a lot of discernment. All right, I'm going to give this person this much latitude, or I'm going to throw you. Like this
Yeah,
guy.
that's very true. Yeah.
How do you learn that? It's not easy, is it? I mean, when you're like, okay, this person probably is calming down now, and like, no, this person has to go now. Like, how do you learn that? Because it's not a perfect way of doing it. It's just a feel, right?
Yeah, I would go off a feeling. It really depends on how crazy the person is. I mean, I've
Right.
had guys where they come out and they'll talk normal to you. They'll be like, "Hey, Mike and Darren, hey, are you sure you saw that call there at second base, right? Are you sure?" I'm pretty sure it was the other call, and they'll be real calm with you to try to mess with your head. Or you got
Right.
the guys that are like, "That's horrible," and they start throwing a temper tantrum. So it really just depends on how you're treated by the coach. If they give you respect, you respect them back. If they don't, well, see ya. That's basically it.
Mike,
Yeah, I
before
think a lot of times you
go
have
ahead. I'm
to,
sorry.
and I heard this recently too in a training we had at leadership at the church. Sometimes someone is just trying to see how much they can get away with, and if you kind of let that heckling go without saying anything, then sorry, one second.
Even if we get the cameras, it won't matter if you don't lock the door behind yourself.
Okay. So in with the what was I saying? I've lost my train of thought. Sorry.
If you let the heckling
okay.
go unchecked.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, it was gone for a second. But sometimes we have to make it clear, like, okay, if we don't actually take a stance here, then even though we don't necessarily agree with it, it's like that we're letting it happen and that we're tolerating that behavior. So we do have to say something. Sometimes they're really arguing, and sometimes they're just kind of seeing what they can get away with. And if you set that boundary early on, then most of the people will at least respect that, even if it doesn't appear as they do.
Yeah, absolutely. With that, it comes to the point like when you say coaches argue balls and strikes. At first, they're gonna heckle you a little bit, and you're just like, okay, you take it a little bit. If they keep going, I normally give them like a look over, like, hey, that's enough, right? If that doesn't shut them down, I go, hey, time. That's enough, coach. We're not going to deal with this anymore. We're not going to deal with it.
Yeah.
And then on step 5, hey, if he continues to go after I give an official warning, then he's got to go. It's a real step-to-step process because at different levels, they want you to handle things a different way. So like for high school sports, they really want you to try to keep the coaches and the players in the game. That's the main thing, because if we want to have ejecting, then there's fines, then there's suspensions. We don't really want that.
Right.
I mentioned this when we talked to another official at the time, and this is football related, but I'm sure it's the same kind of thing with say the neighborhood play or whatever. And if I'm not, tell me if I'm wrong. With holding, right? I played offensive line in college, so theoretically we hold on every play. But on the beginning of the game, the referees will say, "Hey, if he starts to get past you, you better let him go." Like that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
and when they tell you that, you understand what that is, and that's why you see most offensive linemen don't really argue about a hold ever, because they realize you're holding really on every play. I mean, Ted could call, throw a flag almost on every play. But, do you kind of massage, the coaches that way, or even the players? Like, hey, look.
Yeah, that comes especially from the player standpoint. So depending on which games you have, certain teams are going to be chippier than others.
Right.
So like I had a game last year between 2 local high schools, and they were getting a little chippy at it. One team would strike it out. The pitcher would say something to the other dugout. It'd be like, hey, that's enough. That's enough. The other team would come out. They would get it out, and they start chirping back and forth. So you give them a little leniency because it was a rivalry game, 2 teams down in the south side of the county, down by y'all's area. But when it gets to a certain point of you start hearing the F-bomb dropped, or you start hearing some of these bad comments, then you got to go over and be like, hey, Jimmy, hey, Bob, you gotta stop that. You gotta calm them down. Because I'm all for having a little excitement, having extra guys just get into the game because that's fun. Like, hey, ball, and then they just start chirping at each other. I'm all for that. You'll see, Mike. I do the same thing out in church league softball. I'm not a quiet guy. I'm very loud. I'm very into the game.
Right.
So
In
my-
my perspective, like if you don't have, you could have the best team in the world, but if you don't have someone like Ted on your team that's saying "let's go" when a good play is made, and then you don't have all the right pieces on your team. You need to have that guy that's going to be. Now, there's some people in the league that are a little over in abundance, and we pray for them, but you have to have someone that has the Ted energy out there, because you're not going to always have your fans showing up. We used to have a full bleacher of people, and sometimes we'll get one. A lot of it's due to cold weather, I think. I don't know.
We've gotten a lot of cold weather the last month in the thing.
Yeah.
It's been like 42 degrees at first pitch half the time.
I know. That's right. And we have a question from Burger Man. I'll put that up there. Do you get to choose which base you umpire? Is it assigned? I'm assuming that kind of thing.
So good question there. Good question. It depends on which level. So for high school baseball, it's assigned. My assigner, Dan, he sends out our schedule. He's like, okay, Ted, you got the Rockledge Vieira game. You're on the plate. Or you're going to work Merritt Island versus Vieira JV. You're on the bases that night. So it's assigned for that level. At the Little League level, you get to choose. You talk to your partner, you get to talk to whoever, and you're going to be like, hey, you want the dish tonight? Or I can take it. You get to choose at that point. And anything in the higher levels like college, it's all assigned. You don't really get to pick. You get to do that. But they try to even it out. Like so far I got 9 baseball games coming up for high school baseball. I have 7 plate games and 2 bases. So it's a little more on the dish, but I enjoy both sides of it. I like being in the field. I like being behind the plate. They're both fun. They both have their pros and cons. It's fun being out there and getting to umpire every day.
I laugh because, again, it's something I've talked about before. Ron Luciano. I've told this story, and you mentioned being behind the dish. Has this ever happened to you? So Ron Luciano used to be an American League umpire that used to go on the Tonight Show all the time. Just was funny. He can really tell a good story. Wrote a couple of books. So he talked about a time when Nolan Ryan was pitching for the California Angels, and it was a Monday night game. So it started at 5:30 West Coast time. And the sun was just shining in his eyes, and Nolan Ryan throws a very fast pitch. And he remembers he actually said this: ball sounded low. Have you ever heard of anybody else? I'm going to put it that way. I didn't see that pitch. I'm going to guess.
I mean, I have done something like that before. I've had games where you unfortunately got catchers who are not really the most skilled behind the plate.
Right.
And sometimes you're really guessing because you're trying not to get hit by these pitches and you're jumping all around. It's like I've done travel ball. Like I did it last weekend. Bless the catcher's heart. It was like, I think I was doing 10-year-olds. I got hit like 6 times.
No good. You're not a
pinata.
So
you're jumping around a little bit. So it's like, oh, I think that was their strike. And then you hear it. But no, I try to stay locked in. And I try to see it. Sometimes you will get crossed up and you will miss pitches. You'll think there'll be that low pitch and you'll be like, ball. And I'm like, that was a strike. And I just balled it. But nothing like, oh, sounds low.
Right. I know. I've got to ask this one because I think this is the biggest misconception. And if I'm wrong, please tell me I'm wrong because I'm wrong a lot. There's this misconception that umpires, if they miss a call, like in their mind, and it doesn't ever have to be stated that they missed a call, but in their heart of hearts, that they know, okay, I missed a call. I'm a human being. I'm not AI, right? But if you miss a call, like, is there really this, I have to make it up to the other team? Because I hear people on my own team sometimes, oh, they owe us one. I'm like, no, he doesn't.
No, absolutely not. Right. I thought that when I first started too. I would be like, oh, if I miss this, do I give the other team a thing? No, we can't do that because then you got 2 missed calls.
Right.
Unfortunately, you're doing a game like I did. I did a game, I think it was last year. I think it was Cocoa Beach and somebody. And honestly, I was missing a few pitches. And I'm telling the catcher, I'm like, Bill, man, I missed it. That's on me. I missed that pitch.
By the way, I'll stop you there. I love that you do that. believe me, that builds confidence with you as an umpire. You know that because, hey, look, we
Yes.
don't miss things, right? Even, don't pretend that you're perfect because nobody is.
Now, there
I'm
is one
far
perfect
from perfect.
umpire,
Don't.
and it is our friend Paddington right here. He is now.
Yeah.
You never want to be this guy. You don't want to be that angry
Great
all the
guy.
time.
That's a good one.
Yeah, but I want to know, why is the catcher and the batter away from the plate as he's yelling safe? Was he stealing home? And where'd he go?
It's a great question.
Welcome to
don't know
AI
what's going on.
for you.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
But again, Darren, he's got pants, so that's
He's
really
wearing
all that
pants.
matters.
I'm very impressed with him. Look at him. And he's
Yep.
vocalizing. I like it. He's using his
But
words.
usually when you hear the word out, you got a little bit of grit behind you. Safe is usually not. So he just seemed very angry there. So we'll pray for
but
him.
go back to it one more time.
Yeah.
Go back. He's not the one saying safe. It's the catcher. Why would the catcher be yelling safe? Why?
and the
Golly.
batter is sitting crisscross applesauce. It looks like. I don't know what's going on there. But you got to love AI. Grateful for Ted, who let me know that AI is usually pretty good, and AI decided to put August on the thumbnail for the video, even though it's February. So that was kind of cool.
It feels like August. Yeah.
Yes. But no, I'm glad that you brought that up though about the owing a call, because that's legit. Like I hear that and I always have to shut that down because I'm like, no, because you don't want to be on the other side of that. Like, oh, well, one of these calls is not going to go our way. And it's easy too. Like if a call goes against you and then the next call goes against you, we're not getting one tonight. Well, you're not understanding what you're saying. When you're saying the words have power, and when you're saying he's not giving us anything tonight, like umpires aren't expected or owed you anything other than making the right call. So if the right call is against you 5 times, probably for a reason, maybe one time was missed or something, but the umpire does not have a vendetta. Umpire will toss someone, but they're not going to change calls because they've been hit by a foul ball 19 times because the catcher doesn't know what he's doing. Umpire is not going to hold a vendetta because someone's, cussing. He'll toss them, but he's not going to hold it against the team that he's on because of that. So
Absolutely,
I always try to shut that down.
I've this happened when I was coaching D1 softball. I've had an umpire tell us this twice, and this was great. And both myself, I was a third base coach. I wasn't a head coach in college, but he said, listen, actually, it was one he, one she, because the weather started to get really nasty, and they were like, listen, if it's close, I'm going to call it a strike, just so you know. So there's no more borderline kind of thing, and that's okay as long as it's on both sides. And we realize that it changed, because if Ted is calling something a ball in the first inning, I'm expecting that to be called a ball the rest. Now, if you tell me in the 6th inning, hey, I'm going to be basically saying, didn't use these words, I'm going to be expanding the strike zone, I'm ready for it. That's good. I'm going to tell my players, hey, you better be ready to swing, because if it's close, he's calling it. Because it's raining.
Yeah,
Great.
I've had that a bunch before. Like, say consistency is key. Like, you have to keep your same strike zone from the first pitch all the way through the 7 or 9 innings. I mean, I've had in travel ball, so the score's like 22-6, and you're like, all right, we got to get this game over with. I'm going to open up this zone a little bit. It's just called game management. But if you have a close game and you're not giving, and you're giving a pitch on the inside corner to one team and you're not giving it to the other, no wonder that other team's going to start griping at you and start giving you an attitude. You're giving it to the other team. Give it both ways, Blue. Which, that is the most annoying thing in the world that I hear from coaches. We're not out there to mess one team up or to help the other team. Honestly, I could care less who wins or loses. It's not my problem. If this team wants to win, or if this team wins, whip-de-doo. I'm just out there to call balls and strikes and to have the game be fair. That's all I am. That's all I'm doing.
And that's what we want. And that's all we can ask for, really, right? That's all you can ask for. So
exactly.
I love these stories within stories, right? So I know you always have to be professional, Ted, right? But is there a time, I know as a coach, I would have to do this sometimes, where even if somebody chirps a member of your own team, when you hear a chirp, you can't laugh, but you're like, wow, that's a good one. You know, that's really funny. You can't laugh out loud. You hear them chirping at each other. I had a couple of times where they chirped one of my players, and I was like, yeah, they're right. You know, like, so have you ever had a situation where you caught yourself laughing and had to stop?
I mean, I'm trying to think of one. I've honestly kind of laughed at coaches more
Right.
than laughing at players, because I mean, there was one time, it was about 4 years ago. I was up in Ormond Beach, up doing like 12-year-old baseball. It's been all day long, all day baseball. We had 2 rain delays. It's
Right.
just going, and we start this game at like 8:30 at night. It's like 10 o'clock at night. The score's like 12-2. And I'm ready to get the heck out. I'm ready to
Of
go.
course.
So I started expanding the zone. The 1/2 inning, this assistant coach comes out with his bucket and puts his bucket on the ground. He's like, "You're terrible, Blue." Blah blah blah, and he starts giving me stuff for it. And I'm like, "Hey," and I'm laughing at the guy.
Right.
He's like, "You want to sit on this bucket?" And I'm like, "You want to call the game sitting on this bucket?" And I said, "No, you can." He's like, "I'll give you $20 to finish this game correctly." And I said, "Coach, you're funny. It's not going to happen." And then he keeps going. He's like, "Are you not going to toss me from this game?" And I said, "No, if I have to sit through a slaughter, you're going to sit right back in the dugout. So let's go." So, I mean, I've had those type of stories where, like,
I love
they try to
that.
be funny. Coaches will try to get themselves ejected before. I've had that multiple times.
Listen, I've witnessed that. I had a guy once say, "I really got to get home."
Oh, 100%. I did a game one time it was travel ball up at that Vieira complex up there at the Space Coast complex. And I was doing like 14-year-old baseball. The score's like, at this point, the score's like 14-4, something like that. We're like in the 4th inning, and their team's just getting slaughtered. The coach comes out and he's like, "Ted, you're doing a really good job. My team is horrible today. So I want you to toss me." And I said, "Huh?" He said, "Yeah, I want you to toss me." So I said, "Okay, coach, I'll give you about 20 seconds, and then I'll let you go." So he starts talking to me, blah 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 blah, and then I'm like, "Coach, you ready?" So he goes, boom, slams the hat on the ground. "You're terrible." I say, "Get out of here."
I love
And then he starts yelling, and he walks back. He's like, "You're doing a great job, Ted. Yeah, thanks." That team actually came back, and they lost 14-13. They almost came back and won. They scored like 7 runs that inning after their coach came up and did that. Crazy.
That's awesome. So, Mike, I know you got stuff to say. But one more. The greatest I wanted to get thrown out on purpose was by, in my opinion, Casey Stengel. You ever hear the Casey Stengel story?
I don't think so. What is it?
He was managing the Mets, and they were terrible, and it was raining.
Of course they were.
Yeah, and he thought that the game should have been at least delayed, if not postponed. But the umpire was letting it go. Nope, it's still good. So Casey Stengel went out to talk to his pitcher, except he's carrying an umbrella.
He's done.
I love baseball. Go ahead.
That's like that story with Junior Valentine where he got tossed that one time and he goes back in the dugout wearing a costume or a disguise with the glasses. Bobby Valentine. Bobby Valentine.
With the
and then you see it on the TV.
Yeah. You're like,
Darren and I are long suffering.
Come on, it's a fake mustache. You're not getting away with that.
So we have just about 7 minutes left. So I have a couple fun little trivia questions, and then we'll end with just a little chatter about our softball league as well. So I've got 3 I'll pick out of here. So go ahead and put in the chat if you're watching, or whoever of the 2 of you can get this one. So it says, if a batter hits the ball and it touches him or her when they are out of the batter's box, he or she will get another chance, be called out, be called safe at first, will get a called strike.
Well, I know the answer to that, but I'll let somebody else answer.
That's more of a Darren question.
Out.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
He's out.
Yep. Okay. So let's see here. I have the other one. Make sure I have that one. Okay. The pitcher and catcher are the only ones to chase the bunt, and they are the only ones that should throw the ball. And that one is so true or false. That one's, I think, is a pretty obvious one. Anyone can field the ball.
Right.
Yeah,
but,
it's definitely false.
Definitely false there. Yep. And then let's see here. Let's find a good one. Make sure I got that one. It says if a relief pitcher comes in and the same batter reaches first base, the batter will be charged to the relief pitcher if they reached base because of a hit, an error, a fielder's choice, or all of the above.
Repeat the question, please.
Sir, if a relief pitcher comes in and the same batter reaches first base, the batter will be charged to the
if a
relief
relief
pitcher.
pitcher comes in that another pitcher started with, is that the question?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
The batter will be charged to the relief pitcher that just came in if they reached base because of a hit, error, fielder's choice, or all of the above.
No.
That's a tricky one.
I want to say, see, I'm going to have to pick one because I would originally think that it would be on the pitcher that started the batter. That's my thought, unless he gets hit by the pitch.
There's no runners on base. It doesn't. So I would say all the above because there's
Correct. Yep, all the above is the correct.
Because if there was like a runner on base, say there was runners on base first, second, or third, first, second, and say that runner scores due to that hit, that run is counted towards the previous pitcher. That run does not go for that relief pitcher.
Yeah.
Right.
So, okay, yep. So that's fun. I always like to throw a few of those in there. So talk a little bit our last 5 minutes here about the church softball league. So we had a situation 2 weeks ago. So Darren, we play the 5-run limit each inning until it's called last inning. Then it's unlimited. Although you can't always call last inning because sometimes you just don't know because based on the time and stuff. So we had a situation. It worked in our favor, but still wasn't the right move. We were playing on field 1, and it felt like the game was just called too soon. They called last inning, but none of us were looking at our phones or anything. We're all just playing and stuff. So we win the game. We shake hands with the other team. We pray. That takes a while. Then you get in the dugout and you load up your stuff. That takes even longer while. Then we all walked all the way around to the bleachers on the opposite side. And we're sitting there, and I look at my phone, and it said 7:21. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, the game started at 6:30. We had enough time to pray, to gather our stuff, to walk here, and it's still 7:21. I don't know what clock he had on that.
You got robbed. Unless he started the clock early, you got robbed.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, I'm grateful that we won. I don't want to be the kid in class. You marked it right, but I got it wrong. But
you forgot to assign homework.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah, don't be
that guy.
Don't be that guy.
There's always that one umpire that wants to get in and out, and then there's the other ones that are like, so like one, he made the announcement like this could be last inning, and I always appreciate that. And then I think it was 2 outs, 2 men on, and then he's like, this will be the last inning. And sometimes you can get a little upset at that, but you can't say that it is if you don't quite know, because you never know. It could be a 1, 2, 3 inning. We had a game before we got good. We had a game, Ted, that we were playing Center Point Green. This is our 6th season now, sixth season now. I think it was our 3rd season, and then we won. No, this is our 7th season. We won the 4th and 5th season, in the lower, but season 3, and we're up on Center Point Green. I want to say by like 5 runs, and all we need to do is hold them and we win the game. But we're the home team. They get out there and we record the first out, and then they get a hit, and then we record the second out, and then we just stopped playing soft. We had just forgotten how to do absolutely everything. They somehow down 5 with 2 outs. The inning was so bad, we dropped the ball so many times, overthrew the ball so many times that when we came up in the bottom half of the inning, we were chasing 21 runs. It was
21 you were chasing?
The umpire was like, you guys are the bad news bears. I was like, absolutely. I don't know. I can't explain. It wasn't like easy pop flies or anything that we were dropping, but everything was going wrong. Like, we'd let it bounce in front, it would take a bad bounce, overthrow here, overthrow there. We got in the dugout and nobody said a word, because what can you say? We'll get them, guys. Like, we just,
No, you're
you never
packing
want
up
to
the
bury your
stuff.
head in the sand, but like when that happens, my goodness. So sometimes though, the best thing is getting kicked in the mouth. Like, we lost our
100%.
first game. Oh, yeah, because we lost our first game this season to a team we had no business, and we talked a little bit offline about it, Ted. And I said to my team, I said, sometimes the best thing that could happen after we had just almost won the whole league the year before is you start out 0-1 to a team that doesn't even look like they know what they're doing, even though they do. You get kicked in the mouth the first game, that'll change course quickly, and you don't take teams lightly anymore.
I mean,
little cool water on the face wakes you up.
I mean, I would say that from us last year for Calvary Chapel Teal. I mean, we were 19-1 going into the playoffs last year. We just thought we were the hot stuff. Like, we were on fire. We were playing really well. And then the last game, we barely won. We shouldn't have won, really, but we did. And then we come in the playoffs and we get swept, lose both games in the first round, and we're done. And it was like, wow, we should have played harder and played more serious instead of just goofing off and having players not do what they were supposed to do and just jogging. And it was a group effort while we lost. And it stinks. It comes down to one play where a guy drops a ball. And then I think that was against y'all, actually, with the house.
Yeah.
And it was like left fielder drops and we lose. But that's just unfortunate. That's just softball.
Yeah. That's when you have to, you just pick, because in that moment, like, you think of, because you mentioned you're a football guy, you think of that kicker where it's like, half of you wants to say, really, guy, like, this was a chip shot, and the other half of you is like, I got to put my arm around this guy because he's probably getting released in 2 days. So sometimes it's like, oof,
the Ravens kicker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then the last thing I'll share, and then Darren's going to end it with his wacky, weird question that I don't even know if you made it up yet, but we'll end with that. So my last thing I wanted to mention with this league and stuff is, it's refreshing to be able to go out and play softball. I had done Florida Avenue for so many years, and I was the light in a very dark place. There was marijuana, there was alcohol, there was everything you can imagine going on at these fields. I even had one game where I have a young team on the field, and this had to be the worst night of his life. So this kid that was on my team filling in was at second base, and he was married to a girl that was 19 years older, 15 years older than him. So he's like 22, and this woman's like 45, 46. So he brings this young girl his age, to the game. Meanwhile, he's been married 3 years with a kid. And he's sitting on second base, and all of a sudden the wife comes, and she's walking towards him, or walking towards the dugout and stuff. And she locks eyes with the girl, and the girl locks eyes with her. And then she locks eyes with her her husband or whatever. Actually, it was husband. And he looks like, oh my God, I am a dead man walking. And he, so that inning, so she, confronts the girl. I didn't know you were married. Oh my goodness. And it turned out the girl legit didn't even know he had a married and all that kind of stuff. So she leaves like, oh my God, I don't want to be a home person, so I'm gone. So the poor kid, like, she can't pull him off the field. We're in the middle of a game. So he's out there at second base probably thinking, I want this inning to last forever, because the second this third out is called, my life is absolutely over. So just seeing things like that. And so I was like, you know what? I've got to go. Like, you can only for so long. And so I think there was like a 6-month period. And thankfully, Gary kept trying with me to get us a team. And we just didn't have interest at the house. And we finally had a team. And most of the people had never touched a softball. Gabriel, now he's 18. He started with us when he just turned 15.
He's a stud too. He's gotten way better.
He can do everything. He's leading our worship team like on Sundays now at service. Like, he
awesome.
can legit do it all. He'll be going to, we're gonna miss him immensely. He'll be going to Miami to VU this fall. So he'll be starting his college career this fall there. So we won't.
Where's he going?
To VU, it's VU College in Miami.
Okay.
Yeah, so he'll be doing like VU worship and all that good stuff. So, but I'm just so grateful for the league. There's never gonna be a perfect league, but it's so nice, refreshing to have where people can come fellowship, and just not have to play where I had to be for so many years. it kind of tampered, like it wanted to tarnish my love for the game a little bit, just because I was like, man, this can't be like, it can't be this bad all the time. So I'm just so grateful for it. So, but Darren, I'm going to go ahead and throw this up on there. So this is Darren's final could be anything question for our guest. So you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball, kids. See how I tied that in? Curveball, talking about baseball.
I like it.
Actually, it's actually a very somewhat serious question. It's a three-parter. Right.
Okay.
First is, you're playing in a league that has a runner's base. All right, like a lot of softball leagues do, or whatever. Wait till the three parts done before you answer. And the first baseman accepts the throw from the shortstop that the batter hit a ground ball to, but his foot is on the runner's base and not on the other base. Safer out. Don't tell me yet. Second of all, the nebulous approach that can be taken in blocking the home plate now, like the whole Buster Posey situation. How do you feel about it, and how do you differentiate that? Because I've seen it called all sorts of different ways. And third, what do you think about automatic umpires for strikes and balls? See?
Could be anything. Okay.
Up to you. That's it.
Oh, this is when I talk.
Yeah.
Okay,
You're
first one. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I am gone. I'll see you. All right, so the first one, yes, if the first baseman receives the ball on the colored bag instead of the normal bag, they are safe. You have to be on the white bag, not the colored.
Right.
The second one, it goes with the different rule sets. Honestly, if for it's obstruction is what the Posey rule. For high school baseball, you cannot block the plate at all. Zero.
Wow.
Unless you have the baseball.
Gotcha.
For little league and for travel ball and for professional baseball, if the act of fielding takes you to where it is, it's legal. But the main thing is you just can't stand there, wait for the ball, boom. And then you think, well, if the guy's blocking the plate, can the runner run him over? No, you have to slide. You can't run him over anymore because that's the big injury thing. So it's, most of the time, if you have a collision at home plate, I would say 80% of the time you're probably ejecting the runner.
Right.
Unless it's one of those situations of like, oh, they just smack like that.
Ooh, bang,
I've
bang.
seen that.
Yeah.
And I've seen them where they've dropped their shoulder completely and it's like, all right, see ya automatically. And then to finish up on the automatic strike zone thing, I don't really like it per se because it ruins the sport of baseball, of the strike zone with the umpires having their different zones and the batters have to adjust and the pitchers have to adjust. But I do like a little bit of it, of being the challenge system where it's only teams only get three challenges. So it's really not messing up the entire game. It's giving them a couple opportunities because umpires are going to make mistakes. They're going to miss those pitches. Obviously, if those umpires see 300 pitches a night and they miss 10, that's still very good. But he gives the opportunity. I know they talked at one point, Major League Baseball was talking about an automated strike zone the entire time. That would be horrible because the system, obviously, is still flawed. It still makes mistakes. AI is not even close to being perfect. Not even close. Only Jesus is perfect, clearly.
Amen.
Amen to that. So, I mean, I like the aspect of the umpires making those calls. That's the whole point of baseball. Some guys will give 2 balls outside. Some guy will give a half ball outside. One guy will give ball inside. It's really to adjust, and you have to play to that level of what the umpire is giving you that night.
Yep.
So can I ask a follow-up? I know we have to go, but especially in the as people get older, high school or travel high school age, or especially in college, if the catcher is set at a certain place and that pitcher is hitting that glove, not a lot of movement, but yet you think he's a little outside, you're going to keep calling it a ball, correct? I mean,
correct. Where does the ball cross the plate? Does it cross it as a strike? It's a strike. If it's outside, I don't care if the catcher's sticking it perfectly. Bop, boom,
Right.
boom, and it's not a strike. I'm not giving it to him. If it's outside my parameters of how far, if I'm giving a ball out that game and he's sticking it, yeah, I'm calling it. But if it's a high school varsity game and he's throwing it a ball and a half, I ain't giving it to him, and I'm gonna be like, no, that's outside. Sorry,
Right.
bud, Jimmy, it's a ball, and I'm not gonna give it.
Now,
Yeah.
how often does the catcher say to you, "Hey, am I too far outside?" If they do ask you that, do you tell them?
Yes, I'll say like you'll see a lot more of like the offense say like if I call a pitch in the outside corner, you guys know I'm playing. The batter will be like, "Hey, Blue, is that the outside? Is that the corner? Are you going any more out?" And they'll ask questions like that, and I'll be like, "Yeah, that's the corner," or say, "Oh no, I'll give a tad bit more out," just depending on how respectful it is. Yeah,
Yeah, I base all that on if they ask respectfully. I'm sorry,
correct.
man. Say something.
Yeah, and because like in the softball realm, we have the mat. So theoretically, balls and strikes that takes them away from them. They don't have to outside. They still have to call ball and strike, but they have to basically go. Was that sound plate or was that sound mat? Because sometimes it can be a little borderline. But the trickiest part as an umpire for the softball league is the 10-foot arch, and was that illegal, too high, illegal, too flat, that kind of thing. Because some people think 10 to 12 foot is a lot higher than others, and so I've seen it kind of, as long as that particular umpire is consistent, that's the main thing.
Correct. Consistency is key with umpiring.
Yeah. So, but thank you so much, Ted. This was a blast. This is a lot of fun. This is, we do cover a lot of different variety topics and stuff, and it'd be easy. Like a lot of podcasts just pick one thing and they're just about the Mets and that's nothing else, or they're just it. And so it does challenge us a little bit to kind of go outside the box, but I love these specialty episodes like this because it really does. We tell stories, and that's what we've always wanted to be. We want to tell stories and have fun. We don't want to just interview someone, what is this? What is that? What is that? Like, so we really do enjoy. So this was a blast. I had a great time. Thank you for sharing the word a little bit and getting some new listeners and viewers with us. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you like what you saw. Smash the like button, share, turn your notifications on so that way you know when we're live. We'll be again live this coming Thursday, 9 p.m. Topic will be announced soon. So make sure you're there for that. And then, of course, starting on the 23rd of February, we will start our 30-day series of 30 parks in 30 days, starting with the Philadelphia Phillies on the 23rd, which will take you each in a day up to opening day. And then we will kind of cover all that good stuff. So really excited about that program. It's going to be a great time. So thank you, Ted. Thank you, Darren. Thanks to everyone that jumped on with us tonight. And until next time, we'll see you around the ballpark. Bye, guys.